This is a Warframe that turns every single critical hit into a lightning strike that jumps to the next guy, and the next guy, and the next guy, until the entire room is just twitching on the floor, and somehow the most Tenno walk right past her in the arsenal like she's nothing special. Welcome back, Tenno. Today we're doing absolutely everything on Gyre. The lore, the weird development secrets DE doesn't advertise, exactly how to farm her from zero, everything about Gyre Prime and whether you can even still get her right now in 2026, her full ability kit, the one augment that basically completes her, and the best builds for budget and endgame, her signature prime weapons and where she actually falls apart. And if you've been sleeping on her, by the end of this video you won't be anymore. And hey, before we get into it, I want to be upfront about something. I spend a genuinely stupid amount of time filming and editing these guides, way more than it takes to actually play the content I'm showing you. So if this video ends up saving you a forma, a headache, or just a couple of wasted bounty runs, do me a solid and hit that subscribe button. It costs you nothing and means everything for a channel this size. Okay, Thunder Gremlin time, let's get into it.
Another job well executed.
Let's start with the stuff that most guides skip completely, the lore and the trivia. First, her name, Gyre, literally means a spiral or a vortex, which lines up perfectly with her pirouetting dodge roll and the coil, Tesla coil shape of her whole design. And that's not an accident. According to design director Pablo, the team went out of their way to make sure Gyre didn't just feel like a Walt but a girl. Walt's whole thing is natural lightning. Gyre is built around artificial electricity, Tesla coils, plasma globes, man-made current. Same element, completely different philosophy. And honestly, that distinction is why her whole kit revolves around building and chaining current instead of just zapping stuff on cooldown. Here is a fact that almost nobody brings up. Gyre is the first, and as of right now, the only Warframe whose official portrait uses an alternate helmet instead of her default one, specifically her automation helmet. Every other frame's portrait is their base look. Gyre broke that pattern with no explained reason other than the art team apparently liking it. And she's also tied with Sarin for one of the tallest female frame body types in the game, so she towers over most of the cast in mission. And here is a genuinely funny piece of development history. During development, Gyre's coil gown did not split open properly when she cast rotors well. It kept clipping straight through her legs, and it would flip around like a malfunctioning umbrella every time she dodge rolled. The art and gameplay teams had to specifically redesign her animations and add a stiffened crinoline just so the dress would hold its shape. And on the tech side, Arc Spear and Coil Horizon, the two grenade-like abilities, were actually used as an internal testbed for a more advanced physics object system that DE later reused in other parts of the game. So next time you're bouncing a Coil Horizon spear off a wall, know that you're playing with what was basically an engine tech demo. Now, how do you actually get your hands on her? Gyre released back in April 27, 2022, alongside the Zerman expansion, and unlike a lot of newer frames locked behind time-limited quests, her blueprints are a permanent bounty reward. No FOMO here. Requirement number 1. You need to have finished the Angels of Zerman quest. Once that's done, head to the Chrysalith, talk to Quinn, and start running Holdfast bounty. Her neuroptics, chases, and systems drop from progressively harder bounty tiers, and each one demands a chunk of Zariman exclusive resources. Trax Plasm, Voidgel Orbs, Neural Sensors, Entrati Landhorn, Morphix Void Plume Quills, and Argon Crystals depending on the pot. None of that is a 5-minute farm, so budget a proper session for this, not a coffee break. The main blueprint needs Orokin cells plus all 3 components, 25,000 credits, and a 72-hour, that's a full 3 days build time. Now let's talk Prime. Gyre Prime dropped as a Prime Access on December 10th, 2025, releasing alongside 2 brand new signature weapons, Alternox Prime and Kestrel Prime, plus the usual Prime accessories and discounted Platinum bundles. Here's the part a lot of guides get wrong or just don't update. The Prime Access window closed on April 8th, 2026 when Varuna Prime took over the rotation, which means as of right now, filming this in August 2026, Gyre Prime is vaulted. You can't pull fresh relics for her from new missions anymore. If you don't already have her, your options are trading with other Tenno on Warframe market, buying pre-owned relics or parts, or waiting for digital extremes to eventually run her through a Prime Resurgence rotation with Warzia, which is genuinely just a waiting game at this point. Stat-wise, Prime is a genuine upgrade. Translation: same glass cannon, thicker glass. That extra shield pool is exactly why almost every serious Gyre build revolves around shield gating, which we'll get to. Let's break down the whole kit, starting with her passive. The community calls it the emulation circuit, since DE never gave it an official name. Every active electricity status proc on an enemy gives Gyre's abilities a flat crit chance bonus against that specific target, roughly 10% per stack. Stack enough procs and you start seeing orange crits, then full red crits, capping at around 30 stacks. Basically, the longer an enemy sits in your electric field, the more you're rigging the dice against them. Ability 1, Arc Spear. She lobs a spear that deploys on impact into a stationary electric field, dealing a solid burst of energy damage immediately and then ticking damage per second as it slowly grows its radius over about 10 seconds. Land it on 3 or more enemies at once and the damage gets amplified. Think of it as portable landmine you can juggle. Good players run 2 or 3 at once. Ability 2, the Coil Horizon, an underhand throw that rolls and bounces off surfaces before imploding, either after 2 seconds or on manual retrigger, yanking every enemy nearby into one tight clamp. It hits hard on its own, but its real job is setup. Group everyone up and then drop an arc spear or a rotor's well discharge into the pile for maximum value. Ability 3, Cathode Grace, a burst of bonus critical chance for both weapons and abilities, plus a slow energy trickle over time. It's got a 60-second cooldown once it ends, but every kill you land while it's active extends the timer. Keep the kill streak going and this buff basically never turns off. Ability 4, her signature move, Rotor's Well. Her dress becomes a spinning electric field that damages anything nearby every second, but the real magic is that every single critical hit from her weapons or her abilities triggers a lightning discharge that chains outward and strikes several more enemies in the area. Combine that with the passive stacking crit chance and you get this beautiful feedback loop. Crits cost procs, procs cost crits, more crits cost bigger chains, and it's basically a Rube Goldberg machine made of lightning. And once it gets rolling, it does not want to stop. Speaking of things that don't want to stop, my landlord every time the rent's late. Anyway, mods. If you only take one thing away from this whole build section, take this. Get the cathode current augment. It slots onto cathode grace and on every kill refunds duration onto rotor's well as well. Not just cathode grace, kept at your base rotor's well duration plus 60 seconds. In practice, it means you cast your third and fourth once, and as long as you keep killing things, they just stay on. I've personally run this for a full 50-minute arbitration without recasting either ability a single time. You'll find it at 25,000 standing with either Arbiters of Hexis or Parent Sequence, whichever you've ranked up already. It is, without exaggeration, the mod that turns Gyre from pretty good into why would I ever play anyone else. Let's talk about actual builds, because Gyre's biggest weakness is straight up survival. She's a glass cannon with a capital G. Base health and armor are both painfully low, so nearly every serious build leans on shield gating instead of tanking hits. For day 1 0 forma setup, run Intensify, Ogre Secrets and an energy generating aura like Energy Siphon. Aim for roughly 175% ability strength, so Cathode Grace guarantees ability crits, and keep your range positive so Arc Spear actually covers the room. Pair this with a lifesteal weapon or a healing companion, because you will not be surviving on raw stats alone. For the actual endgame Storm Weaver setup, this is a 4 forma investment, helmet over her second ability, with either Gloom from Sevagoth to slow everything to a crawl, Breach Surge from Wisp to retrigger shield gating, or, which I do, is Roar from Rhino. Run Brief Respite plus Ogre Secrets, so a single Coil Horizon cast fully refills your shields even while you're running a Decaying Dragon Key. Rolling Guard is your panic button for status cleanse. Prime Continuity pushes Rotorswell's base duration up to towards 40 seconds, and you deliberately run low efficiency around 75% because a more expensive cast means a bigger shield gate refill. Arcane Energize is close to mandatory unless you've got a reliable energy source like Zenoric or an energy on kill Zo Arcane. And honestly, my personal go-to for endurance content leans even further into this. I run Cathode Current with about 235% range using overextended and Archon Stretch. Rhino's Roar subbed in over her 2 for a universal damage buff, Blind Rage paired with Precision Intensify to offset the strength penalty, especially on her 4th ability, and 3 Amber plus 2 Azure Archon Shards for casting speed, energy and shield capacity. Top it with Prime Redirection, Fast Deflection and Molt Augmented, and Gyre turns into something that just doesn't die and just doesn't stop chaining light. That's the exact setup that got me through 60 waves of infested arbitration without touching my ability keys after wave 1, and if you saw that video, this is the build behind it. One universal warning for all of these builds: electricity damage is weak against alloy armor, which most high level Grinier units wear. Bring an armor strip, Yunaro's Caustic Strike, a corrosive weapon or a companion mod, or your late game damage numbers are going to disappoint you. Quick shout out to the weapons that came out alongside her. Alternox Prime is a rifle that fires expanding electrified orbs, solid fire rate, respectable crit chance, and it's straight up thematic with her whole kit, so it looks incredible fitting into Rotorswell's Chain Lightning. Kestrel Prime is her signature glaive, high base damage per throw, a genuinely strong crit and status chance for a melee weapon, and its heavy attack knocks enemies down hard, which pairs beautifully with Coil Horizon's grouping. If you manage to grab the Prime Access before you retired, both are absolutely worth building. If not, they'll be sitting in the same vaulted boat as the Warframe herself for now. So, a quick recap. Strength, absurd scaling AoE damage once her crit loop gets going, genuinely strong crowd control through Coil Horizon, one of the most satisfying energy economies in the game once Cathode Current is online, and a playstyle that just feels incredible when it clicks. Weaknesses: she is fragile before you invest in her, she falls off hard against alloy armor without an armor strip, and 2 of her 4 abilities, Arc Spear and Coil Horizon, are honestly a bit skippable at high investment, which is exactly why most endgame builds Helminth over her 2. Bottom line, Gyre is one of the most mechanically satisfying frames in the whole game, Prime or not, and if you already own her, there is genuinely no excuse to leave her collecting dust in your arsenal. If this saved you a wasted bounty run or finally explained why your Rotorswell wasn't chaining, that's exactly the kind of thing that took way longer to put together than looks. So seriously, hit subscribe, drop a comment with your own Gyre build, and I will see you Tenno in the next one. Peace!